Here we go. Welcome everybody to the training today. And the topic is why you're losing sales and what to do about it. Super excited to have you here. The format for the training today is to go through some content with the idea that when you leave here, you will have some new ideas about what's working for you in regards to your sales, maybe what isn't, and what you should be doing differently.
This is recording. Does it see us?
I'm gonna start muting people as we do this. I don't know, Melissa, if I make you a co-host, can you mute people as well? Do you know how to do that? No? Okay. Let me, give me just a second here. I'm gonna do this to see. You can't hear me, Amy?
I can hear you, but I can handle muting people if you want me to.
You can?
Yeah.
You're the best. Thank you so much. I'm gonna make you a co-host then so you can do that. Thank you so much. All right, good. This will help keep the recording good. All right, so the idea is that you will leave here today with some things that you can immediately start to implement into your business. We are scheduled to go for about an hour. I will stay as long as you have questions for me. The content piece of it is probably going to take about 35 minutes. I do have a special offer coming for those of you who registered. So know that that's going to come. I'm going to do that before the Q&A, and the rest we'll just jump in and see how it goes. I love doing these. I do one every single month, and I'm always happy to share this content with you guys. So here is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why it's not just about filling a sales funnel. There's so much more that goes into actually closing deals. The number one mistake that's costing most people sales, how to course correct when you inadvertently make that mistake so that you can earn that person's business. What is the easiest way to close a sale? I'm going to share that little secret with you. And then, of course, much more as we get into the Q&A section of it. So really quickly, in case we haven't met before, I'm Nikki Roush. My company is Sales Maven. I show up with 25 years or more of sales experience at this point. I have a career I have a background as a career sales professional. I also am a master certified practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. And if that's a new term for you, that's really the study of communication. So I show up with a background extensively with some language piece, and then also with this idea of how to close big deals. So I've worked for large companies, one of the largest companies in the world actually, have been a top producing sales rep throughout my career. And in 2013, I started Sales Maven as a way to work with entrepreneurs to teach them the simple steps around how to sell more effectively and with confidence. So that's me a little bit. I also have written 3 books, and I have a podcast called Sales Maven. So if you haven't checked any of those things out and you want to, you can find all of that information by going to yoursalesmaven.com. And let's dive into the content because that's an important part of today. Okay, so I mentioned at the beginning that sales is more than just filling a sales funnel. Oftentimes when you hear people talk about sales, they talk about how it's so important to fill your funnel, right? And maybe that's a little bit more on my corporate sales background. I used to have a boss that used to scream this at me all the time, like, fill your funnel, Nikki. And the thing about filling a funnel, it's a lot of prospecting, it's a lot of marketing, but what it doesn't really do, and this is why I do what I do now, is it doesn't really teach you how to walk somebody through the sales conversation. So that's where I come in. That's where I start to teach the structure behind the sales conversation and how to seamlessly move somebody through it. So I teach it as what's called the selling staircase. That is what my 3rd book is about. That's the name of my 3rd book, The Selling Staircase. And that's my signature framework that I now incorporate into all of my sales trainings. And that's what you're going to hear about today, is the 5 steps in the selling staircase. So I mentioned that there are 5 steps. I'm going to go through the steps, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more detail in each step. And the idea behind sharing this with you today is so that you have some awareness when you are showing up in your sales conversation, what's working, maybe what isn't working so well, And it could just be because you haven't honed this particular step in the sales conversation. And frankly, that's the answer to the question that hopefully drove all of you here today, which is, why are you losing sales and what to do about it? So let's talk about the 5 steps. The first step, step 1, is the introduction step. And I'm going to go through these really quickly, and then I'm going to go into detail of each step, okay? So step 1 is introduction. Step 2 is creating curiosity. Step 3 is that discovery. Some people also refer to this as a consultation. Whatever you call it, that's fine. The content that I'm going to give you behind this will work regardless of what you call your discovery/consultation calls. Step 4 is the proposal. And then step 5 is the close. Now, the idea and the mistake that most people make in the selling process when they get into the selling conversation with a prospect is they try to skip steps. And this is the number one mistake that is costing people sales, is they try to skip steps, either because they're not aware of these 5 steps or because they're like, I'm just so anxious to close the sale because I know I have something that can help you and I can absolutely make a difference in your business when you hire me. But unfortunately, when you are in the place of being the seller, when you're the person who's earning the business, when you skip steps, you often either irritate, frustrate, or overwhelm a client or a prospect. So imagine that, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, and maybe with the current world that we are today, it's not happening as often, but imagine that you're going to the grocery store just to buy some milk, right? You need milk, you're just stopping in really quickly at the grocery store, and as you're walking in, somebody jumps out in front of you and says, "Would you like to buy some tamales?" Now, maybe you love tamales, but that's not what you're at the grocery store for. And maybe you're a little taken aback because it's like, who is this person? Where did they come from? And I'm just here to get some milk, because it's very out of context. And when you skip steps in the selling process, you're like the person who jumps out and like scares people with like, do you want to buy some tamales? Now, again, maybe you love tamales. Maybe you're like, well, maybe I'll consider it. This might work for you from time to time when you show up for people who haven't had any exposure to you, or maybe they've just met you for the first time and you go right in for that sale. Now, I don't know about you, but I often don't buy things from people who are standing out in front of the grocery store. If you do, there's no judgment about it. But the idea here is that when you skip steps, you overwhelm, frustrate, confuse a client. Another analogy I often give is, imagine that you take every one of your prospective clients, anybody who you love to earn their business, and you stand them in front of a 5-step staircase. And you say to them, now, hey, in order to work with me from a standing position, just hop up to that 5th step. Like, just, use that core, your strong core, and just hop up to that 5th step. Most people are going to look at you like, no, I'm not willing to do that. And they're not willing to do it because it's too big of a leap for them. So you don't get to skip steps in the selling process, and you don't get to ask your client to skip steps. Now, the only caveat that I'm going to put here is that if a client walks up to you and says, hey, I have a really strong core and I just want to buy from you on step 5, so I'm going to do that, that's fine. The prospect can skip steps in the process, but you as the seller cannot. And again, when you do this, you often overwhelm, confuse, frustrate clients. And this is why a lot of people who are in sales get a bad name. These are those people that we go like, wow, that person is so pushy, or gosh, that person is like kind of icky in the way they're approaching me. It's usually because they're trying to just skip right to the sale, because that's the most fun, right? You get a new client, they pay you money, you get to deliver, to be of service of why you're doing what you do. But again, you don't get to skip steps. So the idea is to learn how to gracefully lead a client from step to step to step. And that's when the selling process gets so much easier, is when you can just gracefully lead a client from one step to the next. So let me dig into the steps a little bit. And again, the idea here for you today, hopefully, is that as I share these steps with you, you start to recognize, is there a place where you are inadvertently skipping a step? when you are in the selling process, when you're in a selling conversation with somebody? Are you inadvertently skipping a step? And or maybe you just walk away today and you give yourself a nice big pat on the back and you're like, I totally got this. Like, this is working for me and I'm super glad that this works for me. Okay. All right. So step one, again, introduction. I want to talk a little bit more about this. The idea behind step one is to learn how to make a positive first impression. It's super important that when you are introducing somebody to you or to your business or to your service, that you're making a positive first impression. So one suggestion that I often make is think about how you like to be introduced to people. Like, do you like somebody who comes right up to you at an event and says, hey, I hear that you sell such and such. And, I looked at your website and you really have a lot of mistakes on there. You need to fix those things. And I can help you fix them because that's what I do. Like, you're probably like, that doesn't feel good. So when you're in the introduction phase, think about how do you like to meet people? Who are those people that when you meet them for the first time, it feels really good about having a conversation with them? Are they kind? Are they curious? Are they a good listener? And do they make a strong, powerful first impression? So this also has to do with the way that we communicate with people via email when they're hearing from us for the first time. Are you just talking at people in email or are you talking with people in email? Most email that gets sent out today is a lot of talking at, and social media is another great example of this. I don't know if you ever feel like you're just being talked at all the time, but that's not very engaging. That doesn't set a powerful first impression. So learn how to talk with people, start to have real conversations. So this is what happens in the introduction step. Step two is about creating curiosity. Now, curiosity is one of my favorite steps in the selling process, and it's often one of the most missed steps in the selling process. The idea here is we want to engage the person that we're in conversation with enough for them to want to ask for more, for them to want to ask you questions. If you've ever heard me on a podcast or if you've ever taken a training from me, you might have heard me talk to the fact that I often refer to creating curiosity as being the difference between how you call a dog and how you call a cat. And I know that sounds kind of like a crazy analogy, but hang in there with me for just a second while I share with you the idea behind people who show up in a conversation. They come off with this dog calling energy, and that can turn people off. What I mean by dog calling energy is if you want to get your dog's attention, or maybe you don't have a dog, but you know somebody who does, you want to get your dog's attention. Oftentimes you'll do this thing where you'll go, come here, boy, come here. And that's super fun for dogs, right? They're like, ooh, something fun's going to happen. I want to come play with you. I'm totally in right now. But unfortunately, when you show up in a conversation with a prospect and you have this dog calling energy, this like really high energy of like, I'm going to tell you everything you've ever needed to know because you know so much and you want to demonstrate like how much you know, that's like dog calling energy, and people don't respond well to that. Think about a time when somebody's shown up in a conversation with you and you've asked them one little question and their answer seems to go on and on and on. That is dog calling energy. It's like, hey, I asked you, how are you today? And you just gave me like, well, when I was 5, this happened. And then the rest of your life story. It's like, it's too much for people. So the flip side of dog calling energy is to learn how to be a little bit of a cat caller, to show up with a little bit of that here, kitty, kitty type response. When you can start to create curiosity, I compare it to the here, kitty, kitty. If you want to get a cat's attention and you do that little thing with your voice where you go, here, kitty, kitty, they're much more likely to give you a little bit of time to pay attention to you, maybe come to you or not. So when you show up in conversations with prospective clients, make sure you're creating some curiosity. You're giving them just enough of an answer for them to want to ask or know more. So an example that I often teach is think about how you answer really everyday questions. So for instance, if somebody asks you, how are you? It's probably a question you get asked often. You probably answer it often. If your answer is like, fine, that doesn't really create any curiosity. If your answer is more along the lines of like, oh, I'm great, I am just about to make a huge transition that I'm super excited to share with my clients. Now, somebody might be like, well, what does that mean? Maybe. They might be like, oh, I don't care. That's fine too. But they might be like, what's that mean? Or if you said, oh, I'm great. I'm putting on my first live webinar this week. Somebody might be like, oh, what's your webinar about? What is that? How does somebody register for that? Now you get to talk a little bit more about your business. We get to start to identify, am I in a conversation with somebody who's a prospective client, or am I just talking to somebody who it's nice to know? So learning how to create curiosity is crucial for you to start to be able to talk more about your business. You'll start to have more business conversations. My clients who get really good at creating curiosity often report they start booking clients much quicker because they know how to create enough curiosity to identify, am I talking to an ideal client or not? If not, it's fine. We can just have a nice conversation, or we can end that conversation. Or is this an ideal client and I need to pay attention now and move them to the next step? So step 3 in the process is the discovery. In the discovery step, the idea here, and again, some people refer to this as a consultation. I use the word discovery, but if you use consultation, or however you have those sales, like initial conversations with people where you're really starting to understand what's the problem, what's the need, what's their desire. That's the idea behind a discovery call or a consultation call, is to find out what's going on for this client, what's the problem, what's the need, what's the desire, and then making sure that you're asking questions in a way that leads them down this path to hiring you. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in a discovery process, actually, I'm going to give you 2. There are 2 big mistakes that people make in the discovery process. The first big mistake that people make is they ask a lot of questions that they actually don't need the answer to until the person hires them. So the difference might be, I rarely ask in a discovery question or in a discovery session with a prospective client, I rarely ask them anything. Actually, I never ask this. Like, how do you track your sales? I don't need to know the answer to that until the person hires me. What I would ask somebody in a discovery process or a discovery call with somebody is, I would say, how do you know how to create curiosity when you are talking about your business? Because that leads somebody down the path to hiring me. The other one doesn't, because I don't teach people how to track their sales. I teach people how to create curiosity. So look at your discovery questions and really ask yourself, do I need to know the answer to this? Because otherwise I'm wasting precious moments with a prospective client on how to really earn their business versus trying to start to find a solution for them after they have hired me. Okay. So that's the discovery process. It's also really important in the discovery that you don't sell. People often will ask you, I don't know if you've ever been in this situation where you're talking to a prospective sale, or you're in the position of being the client. You're talking to a salesperson. They ask you a question, you answer it, they start selling. And then they ask you another question, and then you answer it, and then they sell some more. That creates that icky feeling in the sales conversation. Your job in the discovery is to get all the information that you need in order to make a recommendation as to whether or not you can meet the need, solve the problem, meet the desire. So don't sell during the discovery. What you do next, once you've done a well-done discovery, is then you move the client to step 4, again, which is the proposal step. So a way to do that is to just ask permission of somebody if they're ready to move to the proposal. So I might say to somebody, based on what we've talked about so far, I do see a way that we could work together. Are you interested in hearing more about that? That's me asking permission to move into the proposal. Because now once I'm into the proposal, that's really the place that you start selling. That's the place where you start making recommendations. And in the proposal step, your job is to show up as the expert and recommend what the client needs, not what you think the client can afford. This is one of the big mistakes that people make that often cost them the sale and or turn people off, because we start selling things that we're like, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't pay me this much, so I should sell this other thing, but that doesn't actually meet their need. or we're recommending something that is out of integrity. It doesn't really fit the need. It's just what we want to sell in that moment. That's a big mistake in the proposal process. Now, once you've done the proposal, once you have clearly laid out your recommendation of the solution to meet their need, their problem, or their desire, your job now is to issue close language. So now we've moved to step 5 in the process. And close language is something as simple as saying, you know, I just laid out my proposal for the person and I say, is that something you'd like to move forward with? That's close language. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can say close language. Like there's different language around it. I'm just giving you one example today with this idea that a lot of times people will lay out an offer, but they never actually get the close language out of their mouth. And if you don't get the close language out of your mouth, oftentimes the person won't make a decision. So it's super important that you issue close language and then you do what I call zip it. You have to be quiet and wait and see what the person says next. And if you don't ever get through those 5 steps, you don't get to the close. You don't get the opportunity to find out what the objection is, or like where if you missed a step in some way. So it's super important that you walk your clients through these 5 steps, get to that place where you issue the close language, because until we issue that close language, we don't really, or actually not until we issue the close language, until we issue the close language and we give them a chance to respond, we don't really know whether or not we can earn their business. So those are the 5 steps. And of course, there's so much more that I could give you in each step, but this is the idea behind giving you this training today, is wanting to just make you aware of these 5 steps and the importance of walking your client through the 5 steps to make it easy for them to make a decision. Once you start to understand what step are you skipping, you know, are you inadvertently like selling when you shouldn't be, all of these things, the sales process will get so much easier for you. And more importantly, it'll get much easier for your prospective clients to make a decision to hire you, yes or no. All right. So here's how you move a client from step to step to step. The easiest way to close a sale is to issue an invitation. And an invitation has to be issued every step in the selling process. So when we're moving from curiosity to discovery, we've got to issue an invitation. And an invitation there might look like something of saying to somebody, you know, is this something you'd be interested in having a conversation around? You've created some curiosity for them. They've indicated they're interested in some way. So I issue the invitation. Just like I gave you the invitation language of how to move from discovery to proposal, it's the same thing. And I like to think of it as an invitation. Oftentimes people will say you have to ask for the sale. I like to think of it in an invitation because I think most of us like to be invited to things. I don't know about you, but even if you don't want to go and your neighbor's having a party, isn't it nice to just get an invite if all the neighbors are invited? Like most people like to be invited even if they don't want to go to something. So I always say issue that invitation, because even if the person isn't ready to hire you, it's still flattering for them to know in some way that you would like to earn their business. And if you're not issuing invitations, oftentimes clients will just kind of hang out on a step. And you might be wondering, like, why are they not making a decision? Or why aren't we getting to this place where we're closing? And usually when I dig into this with a prospect or with one of my clients, it's because they have never issued the invitation to the prospect. There was no clear next step for them. So make sure you're issuing invitations. I have a quote for you that I really love from Jack Canfield, and it says, if you're not moving closer to what you want in sales or in life, you probably aren't doing enough asking. I teach a lot around asking, how to frame the question, how to frame the phrase to the client to make it super easy for them to make a decision. And the truth of the matter is, the better you get at asking and or issuing invitations, the easier the selling process becomes. And I want to share a little secret with you today and around sales, and this comes from my 25 years of being in sales, is that most people, this is the secret, most people will not buy from you until you invite them. So if you have a bunch of people on your list right now that you would love to earn their business and you're not really sure why they haven't bought from you yet, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, when's the last time you actually invited them? Now, you can't be subtle in the invitation. It needs to be a really clear yes or no type question to move the person to the next step. All right. So I think I've already given you here. The easiest way to close a sale is to issue an invitation. That's really what it comes down to. And when I talked about putting on this webinar of why people are losing sales and what to do about it, it's because they're trying to skip steps, or they're not actually issuing invitations to clients. They're not making it super obvious what the next logical step is. And you're the expert of your sales process, not the client. You can't wait for them to tell you what they want or what they think the next step is. You have to be the one to position it for them and allow for them to make a decision. So now you've heard these 5 steps: the introduction, the curiosity, the discovery, the proposal, and the close. I would love for you to ask yourself, which step are you skipping in the sales process? And you can share it in the chat if you'd like to. I'd love to hear from you. And also, I totally respect if you're like, I'm not really sure that I want to share that. That's okay too. But ask yourself, what step are you skipping? Because it's probably time that you learn to hone that particular step, that you dig in, you find some additional resources, some ways to get better at the sales process to make it easier for people to buy from you. So that's the content for today. I'm going to open it up for questions here in just a second. I did mention at the beginning that I do have a special offer for those of you who are on the call. So I'm going to take like 2 minutes and do that. No, maybe 3. I'm going to take like 3 minutes, talk a little bit about the next step offer for those of you who really are ready to start to hone your selling skills. And then I'm going to open it up to Q&A. So get your questions ready. I'm going to answer them in just a second. So here's what I want to share with you. I have a membership community. It's called the Sales Maven Society. It is where the majority of my training content is housed. It's also where people who have questions around sales and want an expert to give advice and solutions to them, that's what this is for. So this is a membership month-to-month community. You get access for as long as you stay in the membership. You get access to the training. You get access to me. The membership itself includes over 65 units of sales training, plus over 200 additional resources of articles that I've written on sales, videos that I've shot, little mini courses. I'm actually going to show them to you in just a second. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the Sales Maven Society. Actually, let me do that now because it'll be hopefully it'll be more interesting to you. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I have like a million things open on my screen. So let's get to the Sales Maven Society. I'm going to move some stuff. Okay. So inside the Sales Maven Society, if you have any interest at all in joining, let me show you what's in here for you. I'm going to log in because obviously I'm a member. And here's what's inside the Sales Maven Society. You can go in and click the training. This is where all of the training content is housed. So each one of these are individual trainings and or audio recordings, not and or. I mean, these are individual video and there's an audio recording as well. Each module comes with its own workbook for you. So you can see there's all kinds of really juicy content in here. This one is all around authentic phone conversations, around prospecting. I've got a whole section on creating curiosity, a whole section on close. This is all around how to make your emails more approachable and increase your chances of getting a response. I have a whole section on how to convert your consultations into paying clients. So this is all there for you. And again, you get access to this by being in the membership. You also get access to our resource center. And inside the resource center is where all the additional content is housed. I even put my 3rd book in here, the audio version of my book. So if you have any interest in reading the book or listening to the book, you can come and get access to this as part of your membership. there's a bonus section in here. This is probably one of the biggest, most important sections where we have all kinds of additional trainings in here. So I did a training last month for the members on how to gracefully decline business. That was a question that was coming up in the membership. So we talked about that. There's how to pitch yourself for a podcast for people who are interested in doing that. Emails that convert. There's just a myriad of bonus trainings in here for you as a member. The other thing that you get access to is our private Facebook group. So in the private Facebook group, it's the Sales Maven Society. This is where you get to go and post questions to me. And with those questions, I answer every question that people tag me on. This is, people sharing about what's going on and what their experiences are. It's a very robust, interactive group. One of the biggest benefits that people often say of being in the Sales Maven Society is they can actually go in here and put their emails of messages that they're going to send out, and I will go in and actually offer suggestions and tweaks on how to make them better. So that's one of the huge benefits of being in the membership. Okay, so I'm actually going to jump back over here and show you. I'm going to log off. I have a special offer. The membership, if you go to salesmavensociety.com, you'll see that it's $97 a month. It's a reoccurring payment, so you stay until you are done and then you can leave. There's no fee for canceling. You can cancel at any time. But if you come into the membership, you get access to all of these things. I also do a live bonus call at least once a month. Actually, I'm thinking about switching these to 2 a month. So you get a lot of access to me where I do Q&As, I do spotlight coaching sessions, and then I do bonus trainings throughout the month for the members. But if you hit this add to cart button, I'm going to give you a coupon for you to come check out the membership if you would like to. So if you go to salesmavensociety.com, hit checkout, or excuse me, what did that say there? It said add to cart. And then if you hit add to cart and hit checkout, I'm going to give you a coupon code. And if you type this in, it's 27 trial. You have to actually spell it right, and hit add. You're going to see that I'm going to take $70 off your first month of membership. So for $27, you can come check out the membership and see if this is a good solution for you with where you are in your business right now. I can guarantee you there is no sales training on the market better than this and is more packed with value than what this membership is. We'd love to have you come join. It's a really interactive, fun, amazing group of individuals, and I am in there daily supporting the membership. So I'd love to have you come join. That's my sales pitch for today. And now I'm going to stop share and come back and open it up to questions. I'd love to hear your questions, either about what I shared, or if you have another kind of sales question that you were hoping to get answered today, please let me know. We're a small enough group that you can just unmute yourself. I'm happy to answer questions live. Who has the first question? Sharon, I saw your hand. Can you, let me unmute you. Hold on a second. Okay, it's not letting me unmute you. Can you unmute you? There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Not really a question. I just want to tell you thank you. I had a consultation, I was reason I'm in late, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I had listened to your podcast, and I made a sale. First off, just by listening to your podcast. So I'm thinking, well, there must be something going on here. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I coach breast cancer survivors on weight loss and wellness. So
awesome.
I just want to tell you thank you for that, because I had my other consultation that I had the other day, but it's terrible. I'm like, I need help. I listened to your podcasts, and I went, okay. And anyway, thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Well, come join, come check out the membership if you're interested. There's a lot going on in there. We would love to have you. I'd love to support you. If you think you're getting a lot out of listening to the podcast, come check out the membership. There's so much more for you there. So thank you. And congratulations on your sale. That makes my heart so happy.
Mine too.
Yeah, good. You're welcome. Who's next? Question, comment?
I will say that I have learned something from you every single time I've heard you, from the stage, from your podcast, everywhere. This is the first business that I've been in where I've actually had to sell. I had a physical product before that I sold on Amazon that I didn't need to deal with that with. So this is a very different world for me. And I see the missteps I've made over the past 4 months, and I'm encouraged each and every time I hear a bit of things. I'm like, oh, I should probably stop giving so much away in my discovery calls.
Yes.
I feel like I just spout everything. I'm like, they don't need to pay me anymore. That doesn't work so well.
Well, Amy, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. And I'm so excited for your business and what you're doing, and love the opportunity to get to support you. So if there's, again, come join the Sales Maven Society if you're not in there yet. I don't feel like you are yet, but we'd love to have you. Who else? Question, comment, anything you want to share this morning? I keep saying this morning. I'm used to training in the morning, obviously. Anything you'd like to share this afternoon? Oh, hold on. Mary Alice, I see you speaking, but I can't. There you go. Nope. Do you have your volume turned up?
I do.
There you are. Oh,
I can't do it then.
I can hear you now. Try now.
When you first meet someone, do you introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm Mary, and then da-da-da?
Yes, it's super important. Thank you for asking that question. In the introduction step, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, my suggestion is to always say your name to the other person, because it elevates your credibility when you show them that you want to make it really easy for them. Because there's nothing worse than having a conversation with somebody and the whole time you're running in your head going like, I don't know what this person's name is. And should I ask or should I not ask? Are they assuming that I know their name? It's going to be weird if I ask. And so now you're all caught up in your head thinking about it. So your job, you don't want the other person that you're meeting to be caught up in their head wondering about whether or not they should ask you your name. So say your name. Say to somebody like, hi, it's so nice to meet you. I'm Nikki Roush. And then oftentimes people will go, oh, it's nice to meet you. And then they won't say their name back, which drives me crazy. So then I'll say, oh, and your name is? And I just wait then. Yeah. So please always say your name when you're meeting somebody. I do it even on Zoom where it comes up like in the corner, you know, I can see all of your names. Those of you who typed your name in, like it says what your name is, but I still want to make it really easy because some of us have harder names to pronounce than others. I feel like Nikki might be a little bit easy, little on the easy side for people, but there are names out there that are not easy to say. And even when you see it on the, you know, like, here's one that's super simple, I think, is Tara. But do they say Tara or do they pronounce it Tara? Because I know my best friend, Tara, and I have a former coworker who was Tara, right? But they spell it the exact same way. So if they can make it really easy for the other person when they're meeting them by saying what their name is and what they prefer to be called, it elevates that person in the eyes of the other person they're talking to. It makes them more credible, more professional. So yes, that was a really long answer to your question. Please say your name. All right, good. Let's see. I see that Mary Beth has a question. I can't unmute, but I think I jumped from creating curiosity to proposal. You very well may be doing that. So Mary Beth, I don't know if you put in here what your business is. Let me see if you did.
Now I can unmute.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hi. I help people, entrepreneurs, create personal contingency plans that empower their second in command to take over and run their business in an emergency.
Okay. Wow. That sounds amazing. Yeah. So when you think you're going right from curiosity to proposal, do you have a specific situation in mind or an example of one you might give? And I'm happy to share some like possible tweaks for you?
I would just say that I notice that if when I skip a step for some people, that they're surprised when I move to proposal. That's what I notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say one of the things maybe to do so that people are not surprised is to ask permission before you go to proposal.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I can see how I need to do that, like do the invitations. And
Yep. Yep. So if you just jump right into like the proposal, people often will be, it's like you're the person who's jumping out saying like, do you want to buy tamales at the grocery store? And you're like, what? I didn't even know there were tamales being sold at the front of the grocery store. Right. So instead, what you want to do is say, if somebody creates, like they respond to your curiosity, there's something about what you do. They're like, oh, a contingency plan for your second in command. That's so interesting. I wonder if I need something like that. Your next step is to then ask, is that something you'd like to have a further conversation around? Or is that something that we could chat about now? Then you're going to want to ask some discovery questions. But if you want to go right to proposal, if they're like, well, what is something like that? Like, what would that look like? So I want you to answer the question. I want you to say, well, that could mean this, this, or this. Is that something you'd be interested in me giving you a proposal for? Right? Like ask the permission question. Permission is one of those things in business and in life that will get you far. I know there's the saying, ask for forgiveness instead of permission, right? There's that like, and I will say as a sales rep, I always loved that saying, like, I'm just going to ask for forgiveness instead of permission from my bosses when I was making decisions, but it's not good in an interaction. So start asking for permission and see how people respond to you.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see. Lorena says she has a comment for me, but she can't unmute either. This is so weird. There you are. Hey, Lorena.
Hey, Nikki.
So
How
good
are
to
you?
see you.
So good to see you too.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I saw the email in my inbox this morning and I was like, I actually have a window of opportunity. I don't know what she's doing, but I'm going to go and as usual, like it doesn't matter how much I work with you, I always learn something new.
Oh, thank you.
And today my aha was when you said in the discovery conversation, not asking questions that you don't need to know unless they are paying customers and they actually decide to work with you. And that is definitely something, I already go into analysis phase mode and I'm asking those questions that I would be uncovering in the analysis phase if they were a paying client. And so that's something I'm really going to think about making sure I don't do.
Good. Think about, oftentimes, those questions can come after the person signs on the dotted line or pays you the money, hires you. That can come like in an intake form to them, or it could come and like, maybe there does need to be another discussion. But this is why, I know because you've been a VIP client for me, that once you sign up as a VIP client, you get an intake form. And I ask you a myriad of questions in the intake form. But I even go back and refine that all the time and think like, do I really need the answer to this question? Because I often, like, it drives me crazy when people ask me questions and it takes me a ton of time to fill out something and then they don't use that information for anything. So make sure you're only asking questions that you need the answers to, because it's a rapport builder or it could be a rapport breaker. I just recently did something where I agreed to fill out somebody's form. Had I realized what I was filling out, it took me 4 hours. I was beside myself at the end. I was like, why did I say I would do this? Like, oh my gosh, I'll never say yes to one of these things again. So be careful, but an intake form might be a good solution for you.
Yeah. And in the intake form, something crazy, like those kinds of ones where it's like mandatory, you have to answer this question. It's like, oh, no. Yeah.
I just did this with one of my VIP clients. We were going through her intake form or actually it was a consultation form. Like even to schedule a consultation with her, you had to fill out this form, and she had all these questions that were mandatory. One of them was the date of birth. And I was like, do you really need to know somebody's date of birth in order to have a consultation call with them? And she had a reason why she wanted the information, but I was like, let's not make it mandatory. Like, let's get it, like, let it be optional. Because if it's optional, they might answer. As a matter of fact, most people will. But being mandatory, like if you made me fill that out, I told her, I was like, I wouldn't do a consultation with you if that was your form and I was interested in what you do. Because like me, like any of us out there, there's tons of people who do what we do. You have to make it easy for clients to work with you. And the easier you make it, the more likely they are to say yes. You know this, but.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great reminders. I love it.
Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. I'm just reading comments here. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm saying your name right. Is it Hermione? Hermali, maybe. No, Himali. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm not saying your name right. I don't know if you feel comfortable. There you are. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How do you say your name?
Thank you.
Will you say it one more time for me?
Hamali.
Hamali. Thank you. Okay, so you're saying you've used the 5 steps, but now you're seeing your clients curbside, so it's not working as well?
Yes. Here, let me put my video on. Here we go.
There you are. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so I was introduced to your stair-step program a few months ago. This was a little bit before COVID, and it worked really well. I really saw our supplement sales go up by a lot and really help on the consultation side, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And then the COVID part happened, and recently we've closed our lobby, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, I'm having a little bit of trouble connecting with patients if I don't see them face to face. And obviously I've seen a drop in supplement sales. The consultations, I'm still able to engage with people over the phone and via email, a little bit over social media, but I felt that a lot of the engagement was a lot better when it was face to face, especially with the supplement sales. So that's kind of where I'm stuck.
I have a possible suggestion for you. We'll see what you think about this. Do you know the I don't know what they call it. It's a way to send videos to clients. It's called useloom.com. Do you know Loom? Loom?
No, but I will write it down and look
so
it
it's
up.
useloom.com, and you have to do it on Chrome. It's funny that Lorena's on this call because I actually think I learned about Loom from Lorena. She's a video expert. So is this right? I feel like I learned about Loom from you, Lorena. So use loom.com, but it's it's free if you use it on Chrome, and you could shoot a little video of yourself. And the nice thing is you can edit it, but it gives you a unique URL, and then you can send it to the client. Now it's still not as good as having a real back and forth interaction. But one of the things that might help with the supplement sales is to be able to make a recommendation where they can see your face, they can see your facial expressions, they can hear your beautiful voice of a way to connect with them. And that might feel a little bit more personal. So you might check that out as a way and see if that helps with the supplement sales, as giving people thank you so much for the order. I know you're going to come here curbside. I just wanted to give you an opportunity for a supplement that might work really well for you. Here it is. Here's why I'm recommending it to you. And if you would like to have this added to your order, all you have to do is respond to this email and say, add to my order or whatever. Like make it super easy for them to say yes to getting that supplement added. Now, the nice thing too about the Loom is you can actually see when people open and watch the video. So that's nice feedback for you too. But like getting really creative as to how to get yourself in front of clients, this might be a kind of next step for you.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything helps, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the information that I learned with the stair step program really took the supplement sales to the next level. So thank you.
You're so welcome. That makes me super happy. I saw Sharon had asked, will there be a replay? Yes, Sharon, we're recording this. Although I'm having terrible trouble with replays lately. So I'm gonna say yes, there will be a replay. And if for some reason it doesn't work, then what I'll do is I'll probably send you guys, I did this same training a month ago, so I would send you that like older replay. So I'll look different, like I'll have a different outfit on. So I didn't just go and change and reshoot it or anything, but we will get a replay to you one way or the other. That will come later tonight. Okay, who else? Question, comment? Hi, Janet.
Hi. We did a 2-for-1 today. It's a double header.
Yeah, we
For
did.
the rest of you, I was on a call with Nikki this morning at 9, and I have a very detailed question.
Okay.
It's based on the webinar that I'm doing, and I can see how the webinar that you challenged me to put together is devised to do the introduction and then create curiosity. And then the offer that I'm going to make is the invitation for the consultant.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you for a recommendation on the best software to gather those consultation times so that I make it easy for people to work with me.
Okay. So there's so many different softwares out there, and I use it used to be called Schedule Once. Now I think it's called something else. I can't remember. They changed. I think they got bought or something. It's not so much about what software you pick. Here's the suggestion that I'm going to make, and that I see a lot of people make a misstep around. It's the messaging that you put when they go to schedule. So it's super important. And Janice just gave you a solution here too, is Acuity. And I think a lot of people use Acuity too. I don't know that one, but maybe Lorena said, yes, she uses it too. I think they're probably, I don't know totally, but they're probably similar in price. There's probably not a huge price difference between the different ones. But again, the message is the reason that they're getting the link to schedule with you is so that they can pick a time that works best on their calendar. Most people put in their messaging, which is unintentional, but it sounds like, hey, I'm really busy and super important. And if you would like to schedule a time on my calendar, you could try to find one. And people are like, that's not interesting. So make sure your message is very much to the benefit of the person who is scheduling with you. So that means remove a lot of I statements. Don't say like, please pick a time when I'm available. Say, please pick a time that works best for you. Like change your language a little bit to make it super inviting to the person, because again, you don't get to have that interaction with them when they're scheduling it. So you're missing out on opportunity to build rapport. So we want to make sure that we build as much rapport language into the software like scheduler that we can. Good luck. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, we got more registrations today.
Yay! You're crushing it. I'm so excited for you. All right, who else? Question, comment? Did I get everybody? Everybody that had a question? All right. Then here we are. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. You will be getting an email with the replay. You'll also get an email. Actually, you'll get the first email. We'll have the, yes, Sharon, that's the code, 727 trial. Go to salesmavensociety.com. And so you'll get an email from me that will have the links to go to Sales Maven Society, that will have the trial in there, the trial code for your first month of membership. And then later tonight, it takes a little while for these videos to process. Later this afternoon or early evening, you'll get an email from me that will have the replay, unless something goes wrong, and then you'll get it tomorrow morning. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to go good. And you'll get that later today. And this offer, this $27 offer is good for 2 days. So you have until Friday to take us up on this. And like I said, we'd love to have you in there. Thank you for being here. If I can be a resource to you in any other way than what I did today, please feel free to reach out to me. Really appreciate those of you who are listening to the podcast. Thank you for that. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.